I'm Nyomi Gonzalez, a gallery educator here at the Museum of the American Revolution. I am usually in the galleries interpreting and making history come alive, but today I am in our collections workspace behind the scenes to talk about a new acquisition to our collection. Right here we have an issue of the Pennsylvania Packet from June 26, 1781. And right in the front here on the lower left corner, we have an advertisement for Rebecca Young. The advertisement reads, "All kinds of colors for the Army and Navy, made and sold on the most reasonable terms, by Rebecca Young, in Walnut Street near 3rd Street and next door but one to Mr. Samuel McLean's. Any person having bunting for sale may hear of a purchaser by applying as above." This ad here is evidence of Rebecca Young's work making supplies for the Continental Army. She made flags, also known as colors, drum cases, and blankets for the troops. The bunting that is mentioned in her ad is just coarse woven wool, like you see here, which you would have used to make her flags. She may have had the opportunity to make these supplies thanks to her brother Benjamin Flower, who was the Commissary General for the Continental Army. And we actually have a portrait of Benjamin in our galleries. You can see when you come visit us. It was painted by the Peel brothers, James and Charles Wilson, and it's on loan to us from the Star-Spangled Banner House Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. But who was Rebecca Young? Rebecca Flower Young was a local. She lived and worked here in Philadelphia. She was a widow, and she was working just at the intersection of 3rd and Walnut Streets, so 1 block south from the museum, to provide for her family. When the war was over, Rebecca took her children and moved down to Baltimore, where her daughter Mary Young, would learn to pick up the sewing skills her mother used to make these flags. Mary Young Pickersgill actually sewed the Star-Spangled Banner, which flew at Fort McHenry and inspired our national anthem. You can actually learn more about both Rebecca and Mary down in Baltimore at the Star-Spangled Banner House Museum, and you can see the Star-Spangled Banner on display in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian. Rebecca is just one of these stories that we tell here at the museum, and there are so many others like Rebecca who contributed and participated in different ways for the Revolutionary War. There are women like Phyllis Wheatley, an enslaved African-American woman in Massachusetts who used her writing talent and poetry to advocate for abolishing slavery. Deborah Sampson, who you might be familiar with, who disguised herself as a man and enlisted as Robert Shirtliff to fight for a year and a half with a Massachusetts regiment. And there's also Elizabeth Freeman, an enslaved woman in Massachusetts known as Mumbette, who uses these words, liberty and equality, to successfully sue for her freedom. We love to tell you more of these stories, so if you come to visit, you can find people like me, other educators in the galleries, and you can even attend some of our programs. We have different CART programs that not only expand on these stories, but also tell you different stories, like those of the camp followers, the wives of soldiers who followed them with their children into battle. So we'd love to have you here at the Museum of the American Revolution. I look forward to seeing you. Come find me in the galleries.